Hi, I'm Mark and welcome to another lesson with Master Everyday English. Today's lesson is a reading lesson. Now, the article has a very interesting title. It's called What is Check-in Chicken? So let's get started. We'll go straight to the story now. I'll go through each of the paragraphs in the story. I'll highlight any interesting vocabulary and we'll look at some of the unusual phrases as well. What is check-in chicken? There you go. You see there are two chickens there waiting to check in at the airport. Not something you normally see. So let's find out what this story is about. What is check-in chicken? And so it starts. What is check-in chicken? How the seat assignment strategy actually works. Okay, so seat assignment. So that's what we're looking at today. It's a seat assignment strategy. A seat assignment strategy just means a way to get the seats on your airplane. So the story starts. Travel expert Chelsea Dickinson writes about ways to save on various legs of vacations, from how to get hotel upgrades and tips to track luggage. So, Chelsea Dickinson, she's the writer, and she writes about ways to save on the various legs. So what do we mean by various legs? By various legs, we just mean the different parts of the journey, right? So we just mean the different parts. Often we use that word leg. Obviously, we know the word leg to mean, the part of your body. But we can also use leg to mean a part of something. So you might have the leg of a journey, for example. So it says the various legs or the different parts of the vacation, from how to get hotel upgrades. So what do we mean by an upgrade? We basically mean how to get a better seat, right? That's what we mean in this story. An upgrade, it normally just means something better, right? That's what we mean, something better. So when we say an upgrade, we normally mean something better. And tips, so good advice to track your luggage. It just means to see where your luggage is. The self-titled cheap holiday expert. Self-titled just means that's what she calls herself. Cheap holiday expert recently shared her airline check-in chicken strategy on TikTok. So check-in chicken, and this is very common if you're reading a story, is you'll have the introduction to the title and then an explanation for the title. And so we see that here. We see that we have the check-in chicken, and then right underneath we have the explanation, okay? And so we see check-in chicken strategy on TikTok is a strategy that has at times, which means sometimes, helped to secure extra legroom and has since exploded in popularity online. So this is check-in chicken. It's a strategy, it's a way to help get better seats with more legroom. So let's find out a little bit more about this strategy. It says, less than 6 hours before a recent flight, Dickinson showed herself checking in to see what seats were still available. So Dickinson showed herself. What do they mean by show herself? It means on TikTok, right? That's where she's showing herself. She's basically creating a video online. Checking in to see what seats were available and to avoid possibly getting bumped. What do we mean by bumped? When we say the word bumped, especially when we're talking about a flight, we mean moved, right? So when you get bumped on a flight, it means the flight that you want to take, you have to change and you're moved to another flight. So she wants to stop getting bumped if the airline has overbooked. And what do we mean by overbooked? Overbooked means there's too many. So anytime we have this over, we mean too much, right? So overbook, overpay, overeat, all of those mean there's too much of something, right? So over means basically too much. So we've overbooked, means they've booked too much for the flight, which means, of course, you can't go, which means you get bumped, which means you get moved to another flight. She told Good Morning America. Good Morning America is a TV show here in the United States, that her now viral strategy, when we say viral, and it says now viral, what do we mean by viral? We mean by very popular on the internet. Many people, many millions of people are watching this video, right? So viral just means very popular on the internet, right? This viral strategy has worked 9 out of 10 times, 9 out of 10 times, pretty good, on foreign carriers. So it's worked 9 out of 10 times on foreign carriers. So what do we mean by foreign? It means from different countries. And then you have this word carrier. A carrier is just the word we use for the airline, for the air company, right? So they're often called carriers, right? So the airline is so talking about foreign airlines, foreign air companies, foreign carriers. My top tip is that I do not wait until the last possible moment because I'm scared of the flight being overbooked. So this strategy she has, this way she has to get better seats, is to not wait until the last minute. She said, instead, I'm checking on it throughout the day and I wait until there are just good seats left. So I'm checking throughout. So when we say that word throughout, we mean continually, all the time, right? All the time during the day. All the time in the day. And then she says, I'll wait until there are just good seats left. And that's my chance to check in. So this is her strategy. She waits until maybe a few hours before the flight, and then she buys her tickets when it's the last possible chance. As travel expert Kathy Nastro explained, or maybe that's Caddy or Kathy, Nastro explained to GMA, that's Good Morning America, the minute you hit purchase on a flight, so it says the minute you hit. This is interesting because now mostly when we buy flights online. And so when we say hit purchase, what we mean is basically we mean to push the button, right? To push the button on your keypad, right? On your keypad, on your computer, right? So you hit the purchase button on a flight, you are entitled to a seat. So we've got quite a long sentence here. However, if you aren't lucky enough to be able to choose for free, right? So that sentence there, it's a big sentence. If you aren't lucky enough to be able to choose for free, right? So basically, what do we mean? If you aren't lucky enough to be able to choose for free, It's basically just a long-winded way of saying you have to pay, right? So another, if you aren't lucky enough to be able to choose for free, is just a very long way of saying if you have to pay, or you are willing to pay for good seat security. So you want to pay for the security of a good seat. You could end up, and that word "end up," it's a phrasal verb, basically means to finish, right? So if you at the finish, right? So you could end up, you could finish with the dreaded middle seat. That word dreaded, it's a good adjective. Basically means, dreaded means like the worst, right? If you say you've got the dreaded middle seat, it means it's the one that nobody wants. It's the worst one. It's the worst seat. Middle seat, often if you're flying, and you're flying alone especially, of course the middle seat means you're kind of stuck between two other people, or maybe two groups of people. So it's not normally the seat that people want. People either want the window seat or they want the aisle seat. And it continues. Check-in chicken is not a new strategy, especially for frequent flyers. Frequent flyers, people who fly very often, like people who fly for business. The Going Travel app spokesperson added, a spokesperson is normally the person speaking for either a company, a business, or maybe for a politician. It's normally a public voice, right? So that's what we mean by the spokesperson. It's normally the public voice of whatever it is. Maybe it's a business. In this case, it's a business through the Going Travel app. Added, it's often a tip we impart to travelers, and so that's a good word right there, to impart. If we impart something, it normally means that we're giving it for free, right? To travelers who don't want to, and there's another great word there, another good phrasal verb we can use, to shell out. So when we shell out, what do? It's often to do with money. So we shell out money. It means basically we pay a lot, right? So to shell out means to pay a lot, and it especially means to pay a lot quickly, right? So you're paying a lot of money, but you're paying it quickly. And it says, this is for travelers who don't want to shell out extra money for a better spot on the plane. It says, can you actually out-chicken an airline on seat assignments? So this expression here, out, and in this case to out-chicken, it's an expression we use when we mean to do better. So you can out-chicken. You can outrun. If you're running and you outrun someone, it means you run better than them or you run faster than them. You can outdo somebody at anything, really. It means to do something better. So when we say to out something, it means to basically to do better, right? So can you actually out-chicken? Can you do better than the airline on seat assignments? And it says, while Dickinson's delayed check-in strategy on a mostly full flight resulted in a coveted exit row, so this delayed check-in strategy, it works most of the time, and it can get you what they call a coveted, right? Coveted is a nice word, basically means to be if something is coveted, it's the most wanted by people, right? It's the thing that people want the most. It's coveted. So it's the coveted, the one that people want the most, exit row seat. Now, if you don't know, on an airplane, the exit row is normally next to the exit, next to the doors to get in and out of the airplane. And so because of that, it normally means that there's a lot more leg space. Nastro said, this is certainly not always the case. So it's not always the case. It's not always true, right? If someone says it's not always the case, they mean it's not always true, right? It's not always true. Sometimes waiting for the final hour results in not better seats, but worse seats, when all the more premium options get scooped up. So premium options, that means the better. When we say premium, we mean better or best. The premium options get scooped up. So what do we mean by scooped up? What we mean is that they're bought, right? And somebody buys them and they buy them very quickly, right? And so when we scoop something up, we mean we buy quickly, right? So maybe you don't have an opportunity to buy them because other people buy them more quickly. And it says, by those who fall for a last-minute upsell. It means that you have your normal seat, but then maybe when you're at the check-in counter, they say, oh, well, maybe, do you want to upgrade to, remember we said upgrade is do you want to get a better seat? And some people will say, okay, at the last minute, just before they go on their flight, yeah, okay, I'll take that other seat. So they take the upsell. Upsell means they're sold something up, something better, okay? She said, also, as more and more people try to employ this trick, it may become harder to out-chicken the seat map. And as we said, when you try to out-chicken, it means you're trying to do better than the airline. Okay, so here we are, the final paragraph. And it starts, caveats and risks of check-in chicken. So what do we mean by a caveat? Anytime you have something that looks really good and then there's kind of a big problem that goes with it, you could say, okay, well, there's a caveat, right? There's a caveat with this. And the risks, by risk we mean what maybe you can lose if you do this. This mostly works for budget airlines. And so we say, we've got this word budget, and this word budget basically means cheap or inexpensive, right? So anytime you get inexpensive or very cheap flights, it's with what we call a budget airline or a budget company. As Dickinson has experienced, if you're traveling solo, and so this mostly works for budget airlines, and this part here, if you want to kind of think about it as a kind of like a separate part of the sentence, kind of like a separate idea inside the sentence. It says this mostly works for budget airlines, as Dickinson has experienced, and if you're traveling solo. So the sentence, this mostly works with budget airlines and if you're traveling solo. And this word solo, maybe you know this word, it just means alone, right? If you're traveling solo, it means you're not traveling with family or friends or anything, you're traveling alone. Then it says, if you're with a group, it can be much harder to try and secure multiple seats together. So maybe this check-in chicken, it doesn't work when you're doing it as a group. If you are leaving it until the last minute, there is a small chance that you will not get assigned a seat, she told GMA. If there is overbooking and there are too many passengers there, somebody is going to get bumped to the next flight. Remember we said bumped means moved. So somebody is going to get bumped to the next flight and it could be you. There you go. That's it. That's that whole story. So what is check-in chicken? Well, we saw it's not actually chickens going on vacation. It's more to do with this idea of this gamble or this risk that you take when you want to get better seats on your airplane, so you wait until the last possible moment to book the seats, hoping that you get better leg room. You get more space for your legs on the flight. So we had legs. We said a leg is a part of something, especially if you talk about your journey, the leg of your journey, the part of your journey. We said upgrade. Upgrade is to get something better than what you have. We spoke about this word bumped, right? If you get bumped on an airplane, it means you get moved to a different flight. If something is overbooked or over anything, really, it means that there's too much of it, right? So if it's overbooked, it's been booked too much. There's no more space. We had this viral, now viral. If something is viral, it means it's very popular on the internet. Millions of people watch it, especially when we talk about videos. Foreign, we said, is from other countries. And carrier is another word for an airline or an air company. We had this word throughout. Throughout, we said, is all the time, continually, right? So continuing. So throughout the day means all the time or continually during the day. If you hit something, if you hit purchase, what do we mean? We mean you push the button on your computer. And then there was this part which said, however, if you aren't lucky enough to be able to choose for free, if you aren't lucky enough, so if you have to pay, you could end up, and we said end up means to finish, right? You end up with something. When you finish, you have this thing. With the dreaded. Dreaded is the one that people fear, people think is the worst. The middle seat. And it said the spokesperson, remember we said a spokesperson is somebody who speaks publicly for a company or maybe for a politician. It's often we impart. When we impart something, it means we give it. And especially when we're talking about knowledge or information, we impart, means we give it freely. For those who don't want to shell out. If you shell out, we said that means you pay a lot for something. We had that word out chicken. When you out anything, it means you try to do better, right? So you're out chicken means you want to do better, you want to chicken better than the airline. We had that word coveted, right? Coveted means something that many, many people want. If it's coveted, it means that everybody kind of wants that thing. And it's not the case. And if you say it's not the case, you often mean that's not true. Then there was scooped up. And if you scoop something up, it means you buy it quickly, right? It means maybe it's at a cheaper price and you buy it quickly. And that last minute upsell. So upsell means that somebody sells you something better than what you have. And they do it in the last minute. They do it just before you do something. And then the final part here we had was that word caveat. And that caveat is when we speak about something, maybe we think something's good, but then there's some kind of big problem that goes with it. That's the caveat, right? That's what is maybe the problem with, the only one problem with this really good thing. We said budget. If something is budget, it's cheaper. Solo. And solo is when you do something alone. And that's it. The story of Check-in Chicken. What I'll do is I'll take this story. This story is actually mostly taken from an ABC news story. So I'll give you the whole story. If you look in the description box below, I'll give you a link to the PDF with the whole story. And I'll also give you some vocabulary exercises just to practice some of those words we looked at today. If you enjoyed the lesson and you're interested in getting some more practice with activities and exercises that are all connected to traveling the United States and the airport in the United States, then check out my website. It's mastereverydayenglish.com, and there you'll find I've got a workbook that you can buy, and it has lots more activities and exercises to help you practice your English at the airport. Thank you for your time and thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed the lesson, please give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment and click to subscribe.